You're listening to Hackers IRL. We're the people the news pretends are a single character. We are not. We pop shells, walk our dogs, fight with our printers, and somehow ship the work. This show is voicemails. Brain dumps from our side of the wire about whatever's on our minds. The line stays open. Up next, Panda from Ashura. Here's their story.
Hey guys, I'm a furry, and outside of InfoSec, we have our own cons, and someone I guess recently came out with an application called TailTag to allow basically people to play a game when they're at a convention, specifically look for fursuiters who want to participate, and then be able to interact with them through the game. And think about collecting Pokemon or anything else, but it's live mascots at a convention. So I want to say the furry fandom has unique stances on AI as a pretty tight-knit community with a lot of artists. There's a lot of general extra recognition of slop. The idea of AI training on artists' work and then taking their IP is very guarded by the furry fandom, and in general I would say we have a pretty negative sentiment to AI. It's led to something really interesting with this TailTag game. So Anthrocon happened recently. It sounds like there was a ton of users on this game, and it was a vibe-coded app. I don't think that the person who made it very clear that they were using AI tools in the process of making the application, but I mean, of course they are. There's not really a better way to get something to market, than utilizing AI right now. Where they went wrong was they either didn't know a bunch about the technology or, just in a rush to ship, bypassed some additional checks. And they left their database open, which is honestly really common for these vibe-coded apps. I think it's cool that other furries called them out for it. And, obviously they shouldn't expose their users to just general people on the internet. They were, exposing email addresses for all their users and a bunch of other stuff. So that's obviously not the best thing to do. But what happened afterwards, I guess, is the piece that interested me. There was almost like a shame for not knowing something or for vibe coding an app. They apologized a bunch. In the initial bit too, there was a lot of I don't know. It's almost like they didn't want anyone to know that they were vibe coding it, so they were saying, "Oh yeah, I use handwritten pieces." That I fed to some AI, agents to code pieces of it. And they were cherry picking, the words and trying to, dodge the negative sentiment, against general AI tools. People have come out, since talking about how furries are a little blind to this whole thing right now because, a lot of them take themselves out of the picture and don't really know what a vibe coded app looks like. And I don't know. I think using AI tools to make something is fine. And, if you don't know everything, or need to learn something to secure the thing that you build, that's the normal, learning experience of taking something that's fun and turning it into, a business or, just if you build any business, or any type of product, there's going to be a lot of holes in it as you build it. And, it's just a continual development process. after the kind of negative backlash from the community, and I didn't like the way Finn, was kind of sugarcoating and lying about, the current state of things, or, how AI was involved in the production of the app. There's nothing to be shy about. Like, don't lie about it. Everyone's using these tools. Um, but, like the community, I guess, pushed this person to the point that they no longer want to continue their project. So they made a final statement on it and then just took it offline and, put like a delete me, kind of button that you could choose to kill your account. And they said they weren't interested in coming back to the project or remaking the project from scratch if they didn't have a lot of community support to help them build it. So, the outcome of this thing was, they put an app out there in the world that people liked, people were using. It had a bunch of huge security holes, but in the end, ultimately, email addresses and some other basic info were compromised. It's not the end of the world. Nobody really got hurt. And the push notifications that got sent out, were clearly other furries. They're meowing and all kinds of stuff like that. So, insecure push is obviously a bad thing, but, this was still within our community. And the fact that this person now is at the point where they're just done making the app with AI and they want to remake it from scratch, with another team and put a whole bunch more, effort into it than fixing it. Like, I don't understand personally. Like, AI writes code. It doesn't write magic stuff that you can't play with. If there's issues with the code, you fix the issues in the code. I don't understand scrapping the whole project. I don't understand, why they were driven to essentially just abandon the thing that they liked. And I think it's kind of sad to see. And if someone doesn't know entirely what they're building, if they don't understand pieces of it, or if they get pieces wrong, they should try to put the effort into learning that and fixing the issues rather than just scrapping the whole thing. If they felt like they couldn't do that, reliably, then, they should be asking for help. And they're already honestly getting help from the researchers who are other furries who are interested in, helping them secure their app. I don't understand killing the project. And, I know that AI has a lot of negatives, from, environmental impact, economic impact, everything else. But I also feel like we're doing a disservice to us, ourselves, furries, if we don't try to understand it better and use the tools and make sure that we can, continue to be on a level playing field. I mean, when we say furries run the internet, that's not going to continue to happen if we don't adopt AI. So, yeah, anyway, that's my little rant about TailTag and the recent breach, that, has, route shockwaves, through the furry fandom. Agree with me or not, I don't really care. I will continue to use AI tools because it's part of my job, and I have nothing to prove to anyone. If I want to secure something, I do that after the fact with other tools that are industry proven. It's not rocket science. You can have an AI agent that's running, scans against your code, scans against your infrastructure. You could be doing CIS baselining and everything else, automating that stuff using tools that are already, industry proven. You don't have to rely on an LLM for everything. And LLMs can also, run scripts that are a little bit more programmatic than something that's just going to, treat something like process that it glances at and, maybe skip steps. So, build those into your stuff. But anyway, Panda out. I hope you all have a great day and hear from you all soon. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Hackers IRL. Background music is Simplicity by Macroform. If you've got a story of your own, a breach, a leak, a close call, or just something on your mind, join us. Call 904-915-HACK. That's 904-915-4225. Up to 10 minutes. Choose to preserve your OPSEC, and we distort your voice before anyone hears it. End of transmission.